Neither WJOU or its licensee, Oakwood University, necessarily share all the views expressed in its programs. They are, however, presented as public information.
Good afternoon and welcome to Second Chance. Second Chance is a weekly talk show that examines a wide range of social issues and seeks to inspire physical, emotional, social, and spiritual healing, believing that God is a God of second chances. And through faith, all things are possible. Second Chance airs live each week from the beautiful campus of Oakwood University and features real people with real issues and offers real answers. And now, here's your host, Kenneth Anderson.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Second Chance radio broadcast. I'm Kenny Anderson. As always, delighted to be here with you in the studio for the broadcast that airs every Sunday from 2 until 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, originating on the campus of Oakwood University. Now, speaking of Oakwood University, we just got finished with a huge homecoming celebration on last weekend, April 18th through 20th, technically, even though there were many activities that were going on throughout the week, which is something a little bit new for those who have been coming to homecoming for many, many years. But I love to see the expanded and enhanced version where there were faith-based services, there were academic-based services, there were social events, there were forums being held. There was a wide series of things taking place all week long and culminating with the big market on last Sunday at the Oakwood University Wade Hall area in the Quad. And, of course, the big vendors market was there. And we did a live remote that featured conversations with a ton of Oakwood alums. And I was just over the moon with being able to connect and reconnect with people and have a great opportunity to be a part of being immersed in my first alma mater. And I am, of course, forever grateful, as I said many times last week to my guests, forever grateful for the sacrifice that my parents made to send little Kenny Anderson at the age of 17 off to Huntsville, Alabama to pursue a psychology degree. I also mentioned on the air last week that a lot of people don't know that my first major was actually theology. When I came to Huntsville from New York, I was anticipating majoring in theology, but God directed me in a different path and gave me a different pulpit. I am grateful for the homecoming experience and, of course, a lot of excitement around the transition of the president as well as the reigniting of alumni who are looking forward to really being a part of holding our institution up and more. So once again, congratulations to the coordinators of that event. Congratulations to all of those who are part of that event. And we, of course, are already looking forward to homecoming 2026 by the grace of God. We won't get too far ahead of his game plan. We'll kind of let him lead the way. Of course, this is an opportunity for us, as I said, every Sunday from 2 to 4. We did an extended version last week. We were on from 12 to 4. But that was just because of the special homecoming weekend event. But typically, we're on the air from 2 to 4 at Praise 90.1 FM, which is a local radio station, broadcasting at 33,000 watts. We were able to enhance the quality of our listening and the length of our radio waves on last support drive. And I say that because support drive is upon us once again for the spring. So you'll be hearing lots of stuff about that, and we look forward to having you come and be a part of supporting WJOU in the spring as we did back in the fall when we were able to expand the listenership to 33,000 watts. I understand it. We're now in the process of rehabbing and upgrading the studio so that we are able to make sure that you always have a good signal and that you always have a good experience when you log on to 90.1 FM. A lot of excitement around that and a lot of good things to come as a result of that as well. So we look forward to that. But then there are also people listening at WJOU.org and the live stream experience at Praise 90.1 FM on Facebook as well as YouTube. We welcome each and every one of you to the broadcast on today. And I'm very excited that we have not just an opportunity today to talk to our guest, but we also have an opportunity to talk to our two new guests who will be joining us today. I'm launching two brand new segments on the Second Chance radio broadcast, quarterly segments, and we look forward to talking to those individuals at that time. But first, she's been patiently waiting for me to introduce her, so I'm going to do that at this time. Appreccia Faulkner joins us quarterly for a segment that we call Reimagining Our World. Appreccia is the founder and chief executive officer of Global Strategists Association, an international organization striving to increase global engagement among the African diaspora. She founded the organization in 2013 to promote diversity, racial equity, inclusion, and justice in global affairs. GSA is committed to changing the face of global affairs. She operates and is based in the beautiful city of Chicago, Illinois, which happens to be one of my favorite places in the world. And, of course, we're always happy to have her on this platform. Appreccia, how are you doing this afternoon?
I am doing very well, Kenny. Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here with you and your listeners.
It's always good to have you. And, of course, you hop in every now and then on a What's Going On segment. I can't tell you how many people say, why don't you have women on that segment with the What's Going On segment? I said, well, you're not listening enough because I do.
Yes.
And you consistently show up and deliver, and I'm so appreciative of that. Thank you again for joining me today. I hope that you had a good Easter weekend last weekend.
I did. I went to church with my children. Beautiful service, remembering why we're all here, why we're doing this work. And so I am just thankful to celebrate like many people across the world.
Yeah, you know, you got a reverend up there, Reverend Otis Moss, who's constantly shaking things up and reminding us about the responsibility that we have to be accountable to those civil rights pioneers, those who laid down their lives and sacrifice, of course, all of those people who lost their lives on the Middle Passage, who spent significant time in this country in slavery, the ancestors and their children and children's children, whose shoulders we all stand on, that we have a responsibility to not just sit back and allow the privileges and the civil liberties and civil rights that we've come to enjoy because somebody fought for those things, that we give voice to the opposition to those things and resist.
Absolutely. I love being at Trinity, as you just mentioned, with the great Otis Moss III, and just reminding us what our mission is, that our identities are not separate from our Christianity, that we are, as the motto say, unapologetically Black, unashamedly Christian, and we are here to make sure that we can coexist in both of those worlds, that we don't have to lay down one for the other. I am very much Black, and I am very much a follower of Jesus.
That's right. We're reminded that Dr. King said more than I have a dream. Dr. King also said, and I'm quoting, any religion that professes to be concerned about the souls of men and is not concerned about the slums that damn them, the economic conditions that strangle them, and the social conditions that cripple them is a spiritually moribund religion awaiting burial. And I wish we would preach that as much as we preach I have a dream.
That part.
I mean, it's not hard, right? He said it. It's there. And what he is speaking about is being manifested in our society today in so many different arenas where the lives of people are being challenged, upended, disrupted, displaced, and so much more. And the threats are ongoing and they are real. We talked probably within the last couple of months, on the back end of the last couple of months. And so we were really just kind of getting into this new administration. Of course, you and I both acknowledged being disturbed by things that we were seeing. And I wonder, 100 days or so into this new administration, as people are levying a verdict on these first 100 days or so, about where the nation stands right now, how we're poised nationally, how we are viewed internationally. What are you generally thinking in this particular moment about where we are at this point in time?
I think we're at a crossroads. And I think that it is incumbent on a lot of folks to start finding their courage about how to stand up to an administration that does not deem humanity as an intricate part of our survival. And so I think about the life of Jesus as we just celebrated Resurrection Sunday, and how Jesus was, in many cases, in enmity with the government and with religious leaders, and how they deemed him to be a threat, and how sometimes empathy and humanity and dignity does not always coincide with leadership. And I think that's what we're experiencing, not just in this country, but across the globe. People are having their civil liberties being stripped, and there are wars that are across the land in Sudan and Gaza. And so I think it's important for us to find that courage where we can stand up, not just for ourselves, but stand up for other people. It is important that we also see our neighbors as people that we have to speak up for, and find the courage to make sure that their human rights are not being disturbed.
And of course, as you see the protests that are taking place all over the nation right now, there are huge numbers of people who are showing up. Of course, a lot of people have talked about the fire that Bernie Sanders has created, that AOC has created. Of course, Cory Booker's speech before the Senate that set a record in terms of the longest speech. A lot of people took a lot of pride in these things, or taking a lot of pride in these things, or finding a lot of energy, and also beginning to find their voice in these things. How effective do you think that these things are at this time, these protests? And what do they perhaps portend for something that is not that far off, but really is far off, and that's midterm elections? You know, the election cycle and the memories of people typically tend to be kind of short, and we know where we are now, but there's a lot of energy moving in a interesting direction. And I wonder what your thoughts are about what you're seeing.
I think for the protests, that is one of the tools, right, that we have at our disposal of going against this administration. And I think for people who felt very saddened by the outcome of this election, that it has allowed them to find community, right? That if you were at your home and you were sulking and you were feeling sad and you were feeling defeated, you know, potentially being out there and seeing the resilience and the people push back can, to some degree, drive you out of apathy. That it allows you to feel at home and see that you are not alone in your rage. You are not alone in your righteous indignation, and that there are tools at our disposal, and protest being one of those tools, not the only tool, but one of those tools. So I feel good about the momentum with that. I also feel good about the education that is happening with this country, where we don't get a lot of civics education in schools like we used to. And people are learning about what authoritarianism look like, about what democracy is and is not, about our judiciary and the role that it plays. And where before it was kind of like, it was just assumed that America's democracy would never be in question, and that we didn't have to go deeper into what this looks like. And so we're quick to, you know, call out other countries. But what happens when those things are happening at home, right? We then have to equip ourselves and educate ourselves. So I think excited about the momentum, but I'm also very cautious about that momentum, because there are also people who are being put in harm's way, and people are being doxxed online, and they stand up and speak against. And so I think, again, we all have to find that inner courage to be able to find other ways outside of protest to push back against the things that are happening in our country.
So it's interesting that the conversation continues and that people, of course, are trying to determine where the landing strip is on this process. There's a plane that has taken off and it is flying erratically. It's lots of turbulence. People have been advised in many ways to fasten their seatbelts and stay in their seats. Are you surprised in any way, though, when you see many people, particularly in the Republican Party, many ultra conservatives who are still siding with 47 and saying that they have no problem with what's going on? They're excusing some of the turbulence in the market. They're deflecting in terms of a lot of things that are happening. They're not raucously speaking out against the illegal imprisonment of an American citizen in another country. None of us could imagine that happening to an American citizen in another country without a reasonable response, which sometimes has been, quite strong. And so are you surprised that there are still people that are loudly, in some instances, defending some of the actions, or in some instances, not saying anything about those things?
I am not at all surprised. And I hate to say that I've always thought this day was coming. I think I was probably more sober-minded than I would like to remember after the election of President Obama. And I believed that a day like this was upon us. And so I think the rage that a lot of people felt at a Black man being elected steered us into this direction. And I thought that one day the country would have to decide in what direction we were going to go in. And I did not, I guess, I was very clear-eyed about the number of elected officials who actually wanted this and believed that a country that would become majority minority was not advantageous for them. And that I believe during the if you listen to the words after the election of President Obama, even during the campaign season when Hillary Clinton got the nomination, I always thought it would be a day where people felt like they had to take back this country from some people, and that we were, I guess, too open to people who were did not present white-facing and did not, present dominant culture. And so I hate to say I was one of the ones that was extremely skeptical after the election of Obama and believed that the country was heading in this direction. So not at all surprised.
Well, it certainly stands to, wait and see what will happen. There's a lot of energy in different directions. Some are coalescing around addressing some of the illegal things that are happening, the inequities that are continuing in some cases, and it's important to be able to look and see what's happening with that. Shout out to your mayor, Brandon Johnson, who spoke out. We're talking about Chicago Mayor Brandon Johnson, for those that may not be familiar with the name, but Brandon Johnson came in to office in a somewhat dubious manner. I mean, there were some people that were really having some challenges with his leadership, decision making, and more. But in response to the president's threats to withhold federal funding, he said, and I want to quote him because I don't want to misquote anybody on this show, "That is how terrorists behave." Of course, he walked that statement back a little bit by saying he was not calling the president a terrorist. He was basically saying that the actions that were being taken were the actions of somebody who was attempting to terrorize the great city of Chicago. Your thoughts about your mayor and his stand against the federal administration?
I'm all with it. I think we need this type of energy. I definitely stand with Mayor Brandon Johnson on this. Trump, the president, like many other people, have decided that Chicago is destination number one for all the chaos that they like to ensue. And so hysteria, because Chicago was constantly in his mouth doing both his previous run and this run. And so I am glad to see our mayor, our previous mayor, although she didn't last much long, but Lori Lightfoot also had the same type of energy with this, and that Chicago will not succumb to federal authoritarianism, and that we are our own city, third largest city in America. And we have a lot to be proud of. And standing up for our citizens is one of the ways in which we are, make sure that we have what they like to call states' rights, right? And local cities and municipalities matter. And so I am definitely with our mayor on this.
Well, a lot of people from my city, New York, would have hoped that Mayor Adams would have done taken a similar kind of stand. But many people, of course, believe that he has now been compromised. And so shout out to the city of Chicago, which now is my favorite city, by the way. You didn't know that, did you?
I didn't.
But it's really interesting to see what's happening in those cases. And speaking of taking a position, taking a stand, what are your thoughts about what Harvard has done in terms of its response to being threatened with the withdrawal of funds, and now even the withdrawal of their tax-exempt status?
Shout out to Harvard, shout out to Harvard. We need folks to be much more courageous than what they know, because throughout our history of America, it has taken a lot of courage to not be in this place much sooner. I'm pretty sure that this president wasn't the only one that thought about, doing dubious terroristic things. And so I am very proud of Harvard for standing up, and even other institutions now are standing along with Harvard. And so we need more of that. And, I don't know if at some point later down the road, they say it's too much, but I am encouraged by the stand they're taking today in other institutions. And I think it's going to take more institutions and more individuals pushing back against this co-opting of our American democracy, whatever little bit of it that we do have.
And I think that's such an important element of this conversation that a lot of people kind of gloss over, and these superficial conversations that I often see people have. People really kind of talk about the thing as opposed to the thing. And, Stephen Covey talked about making the main thing, and making sure that we never lose focus on what's really important here. So all the talk about eliminating DEI for me has been nothing but a distraction to undermine democracy. Mm-hmm. What we're talking about is not something I go to a box and pull out, okay, the DEI program today is this. No, we're talking about how we value people, how we care about people, how we respect people, how we take care of people, how we support one another as human beings. We're not aliens. We're human beings. And there should be some element of compassion and empathy and care for other people, some element of that, in spite of where people are. But yet all of these other smoke screens and distractions, I'm going to do this, do that, and the other, and throw stuff at the wall, see what sticks and who's going to respond, has been nothing but a distraction, because this is indeed an attack on the fundamental principles of democracy that we stood on for so long. And I think that what Harvard has done is absolutely commendable. In the moment, as you said, we'll see where this whole thing ends up. But it's absolutely an interesting thing that is happening. I want to make sure I cover a couple of things, as I know that we're probably getting close to the end of our conversation. And I've got three things I want to talk about. Just the last time you came on, we were a little bit ahead of your International Women's Day Awards luncheon. And that's gone down now. I've seen some images on the social media site that you manage in your name. And of course, there's always this sense of joy and affirming and valuing in the spaces that you provide for these kinds of experiences. Tell us a little bit about how you have now had a chance to reflect on that experience.
Sure. I think especially it was Women's History Month, March 8th, International Women's Day, that it was extremely uplifting to be in a space with the women that we were in. We were honoring women from all different backgrounds and walks of life. And it was important in that moment because there was a lot going on with this administration, and people were feeling extremely overwhelmed and saddened by the state of affairs in America and across the globe. And to be in a space where joy was actually the thing that you can lean on to lift you up. I always say joy is a resistance. And so part of what I think the climate in the world has been is to strip all of us of that joy, to strip us of our ability to seek laughter as medicine and keep us in a somber, dubious state. And so providing a space like that at that time when life feels so overwhelming was something I take great pride in, because at least in this space, you know that your humanity is uplifted, that your dignity is not in question, that you are part of a community that sees you in all of your fullness and all of your glory and accepts that without any provocation in any way. And so it was really a beautiful thing. We had, I think, close to 100 people show up and support all of these women working from human rights to medicine to the arts. And so I was just blessed to be able to host that.
It's so important to have you as a visionary, as a leader, as somebody who's operating in that space to make sure that these things are elevated, that they are presented, that they are taken care of, and that they are a constant reminder of what the value of these things are, these kinds of experiences are on an everyday basis in people's lives. And so that is extremely important. I also saw where you participated on a panel, Women in Business on Purpose. And I thought that was such a cool name. I wanted to hear from you about what that experience was like.
Sure. So I was a panelist at a young rising entrepreneurs event, a young lady by the name of Emmeline Jones, who hosted her very first event. And so I told her I was so proud of her. Many of the panelists did. And it was just a discussion on how did we get here? What were the challenges? What were the strategies? And one of the questions I will share very quickly was, what was your first foray into entrepreneurship? Like as a Black woman, and I talked about Black television and how my first foray was watching George Jefferson on the Jefferson own 7 cleaner stores. And I was like, okay, here's a Black man. And if you remember, George, he had a mouth on him. He talked big stuff. but being an entrepreneur allowed him to be able to do that because he didn't answer to anybody. He signed his own checks. He paid his own employees. He lived in a penthouse with his wife and I forgot the maid's name, but Florence. And so I was like, Black television for me, from that to living single, has been such a foray into entrepreneurship. And so I'll shout out to the arts, to Black culture on TV. It definitely inspired a whole new level of entrepreneurs.
Yeah, wow, that's awesome. And the last thing I want to talk to you about, and I'm going to, as I said earlier, I'm going to stay true to my quoting people. I'm going to quote you.
Okay.
Because I want to not just quote you, but celebrate you in this particular moment. Appreccia posted on her Facebook page just a week or two, maybe 3 ago. In less than 45 days, look at a big smile on her face right now. It's absolutely less than 45 now. But when she wrote this, she said, in less than 45 days, I will graduate with a master's degree in history, specializing in African American global history. The glee I feel about being here at this time in my life after dropping out of high school at 16 is exhilarating and rewarding. Oh, and that perfect GPA tracks. This is where I break out into a big smile. Hello to that with distinction, summa cum laude, tag 4.0, hashtag master's degree. Appreccia, I could not be more excited for you on this stage of your incredible journey in life. And I want to say publicly, congratulations to you. This is such a huge accomplishment, I know, for you. And as I shared with somebody the other day, these kinds of things are very significant in our extended journey in life. Yeah. And that people like you, I know, don't seek them just to have affirmation. Hey, I got a master's degree and throw some letters around now. This is a part of the collective of your journey. And I know that this moment means so much to you. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I said, oh, you on your Oprah, you trying to make me cry. No, thank you. Thank you so much for that. It has been a journey. I've always thought, I tell people, I always thought I would get here, but the road to get here has been very bumpy. And so to be able to actually say I'm here has been a joy. And I do want to just acknowledge you, being in proximity to people who are professors, were professors in your case, and also came through community college and taught. And so that has helped me, to continue on this journey. Every time I thought I got tired or I was like, I don't know, just being in proximity with people like yourself and other people. I just had an interview today about a professorship at my alma mater where I got my associates at a community college. And so to be able to have full circle moments because just because I decided to continue with my education after such a, rocky start at 16, all glory be to God.
Wow. I am so happy for you. That is so amazing. Such a great accomplishment. And we, of course, look forward to continuing celebrating with you on this journey.
Yes. And thank you for bringing it up because it is getting close. I think it's like 23 days now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, like we're really in full countdown, meltdown, and everything else because it's on the way. And I'm so excited for you. That day is going to be amazing. And we want you to come back and tell us what that experience was like because I know it's going to be absolutely amazing. Appreccia, tell us how people can stay connected to you, learn about the work that you're doing, and maybe even invest in the work that you're doing in some form or fashion.
Sure. So I am on LinkedIn, like many people, at Appreccia D. Faulkner. Our website is gsachicago.org if you're interested in the work around internationalization and Black people. And you can find me on all the other social media sites, even TikTok.
I still haven't done TikTok yet.
I know they still might take it, so we'll see.
Well, listen, Appreccia, God bless you and the mission and the work that you do, which is righteous work. And I'm so grateful to be able to talk to you every time. I'm being real sensitive to all of this joint excitement right now, so I'm going to leave you alone on what's going on for right now. But once you walk off the stage with that degree in your hand, expect a text message that says, congratulations, and are you available for this date?
Right. I'll be on the lookout for it.
All right. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. She is Appreccia Faulkner, founder and CEO of Global Strategists Association based in Chicago. We're always delighted to be able to talk to her. And of course, Appreccia has her own segment quarterly called Reimagining Our World with Appreccia Faulkner. But she's also one of my guest commentators on my What's Going On Social and Political Roundtable that takes place every first and third Sunday of the month. She shows up periodically to be able to share information, and we're grateful for that. I'm going to come back in just a moment and introduce my next guest, but we always try to do a little transition song, and that's exactly what we're going to do right now. We'll be back. I'm Kenny Anderson at Second Chance. I hope you're having an awesome and amazing afternoon.
There's a miracle in this room with my name on it. There's a healing in this room, and it's here for me. Oh, there's a breakthrough in this room. It's got my name on it. So I'm gonna put a praise on it. Somebody put a praise on it. Let's go. I declare that wherever you are, miracles are breaking off in your house. You ought to declare there's a miracle in this room, and it's
You know that the ice cream scoop has the power to make a child smile, and that by slowing us down, the traffic light can keep us going. You know that the golf tee brings friends together, that the mailbox keeps them connected. You know that the cataract laser helps you look to the future, while the pacemaker ensures that there's a future to be seen. You know that the lawnmower, the clothes dryer, and the elevator make life easier, that the blood bank makes life possible. You know that these things we count on every day started as ideas. But did you know all these ideas came from the minds of African Americans? Support minority education today so we don't miss out on the next big idea tomorrow. The United Negro College Fund, a mind is a terrible thing to waste. Please visit uncf.org or call 1-800-332-UNCF. Brought to you by UNCF and the Ad Council.
It's pretty easy today to just turn your radio on in your car, stream it online, and just kind of forget that it's on. But take just a moment to think about how much WJOU is a part of your day. You wake up with Donna during Morning Joy. You're encouraged throughout the afternoons with the Brent and Sherry Show. The Hour of Power always brings you a good word, and your story hour and adventures in Odyssey are shared by the entire family. We're with you every day, and that makes us stronger together as we grow in Christ. Take a few minutes today to support WJOU at give.wjou.org. Your support makes a difference.
Welcome back to the broadcast. A great way to start the broadcast today, talking with Appreccia Faulkner, the founder and CEO of Global Strategists Association based in Chicago. Lots of great things happening in her world, and we're very grateful to have had that conversation with her on today. My next guest is Jeremy Foulks, who is the Executive Director of Habitat for Humanity of the River Valley, serving Madison, Limestone, and Jackson counties. With over 21 years at Habitat, he began as Family Services Coordinator and rose through various roles to lead the organization. He serves on the board of the Alabama Association of Habitat Affiliates, where he served 2 terms as president. He's a graduate of Leadership Greater Huntsville's flagship class, L36. Of course, we know that that's a class, but my class, L10, was really the best class ever. And continue, just a little inside joke for the leadership graduates, folks. I'm sorry about that. And continues to volunteer with leadership. Habitat for Humanity of the River Valley was named runner-up for Nonprofit of the Year, and the Habitat Restore was runner-up for Furniture Home Decor in the Best Huntsville poll by Event Magazine. Habitat is also a contender this year for Best Places to Work. Jeremy is a UAB grad. He resides in Huntsville with his wife and 2 children and attends Aldersgate United Methodist Church. I mentioned earlier we're starting 2 brand new segments on the broadcast today that will be featured quarterly, and this one will highlight the mission of Habitat for Humanity. Jeremy, welcome to the broadcast.
Thank you, Kenny. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. It is a great day. When we started the show, I was talking about celebrating my homecoming last weekend, and now a week after, I'm still in the afterglow of a beautiful experience. So it's really good to have you here, as I know you all have some really amazing things happening on the ground. I want to build this segment, so I want to give people a chance. First of all, although we've talked about Habitat on the show before, I love the fact that we're now embedding it into the Second Chance legacy so people can identify with it, understand it, and consider how they want to relate to or engage with it. So let's start out by just giving people a high-level view of what Habitat is.
Okay. Well, Habitat's mission is that we bring God's people together to build homes, community, and hope. And I think that last one, hope, it's the one that gives me the chill bumps. I've been with Habitat, as you said, for over 20 years now, and I've been to hundreds of wall raisings and house dedications and closings. But the hope is what gets me. What we do here at Habitat is we help families who are in need and individuals who are in need a simple, safe, decent home get into a home through partnership with the community, coming together to build that home, and then putting that family into that home, which we actually sell to the family. We don't give them away, but we finance that. We sell it and finance it through what we call Bible financing. Exodus 22:25 says that if God God called out to his people and said, if one of my people among you is in need, do not be like a moneylender, charge no interest. So we sell the home. We do sell it at appraised value, but the mortgage that the family pays back to Habitat is for what it cost us to build it. And then on top of that, we finance that in-house over a 30-year period with a 0% interest mortgage. What that means is that the family's getting into a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, and I'm working on a closing right now, and their mortgage payment's going to be under $600 a month, including homeowners insurance and property taxes. And I looked at the stat real quickly, just pulled it up, looking at units that were available for rent, apartments, multifamily, single family in Madison County alone. And out of the 2,722 units that show up in rent.com, only 14 of those units are $700 or less.
Wow.
So when the average rent's around $1,485 a month, what we're doing is we're giving families the opportunity to pull themselves out of poverty, to pull themselves out of a bad situation. And families now can afford, to get off food stamps. They can afford to buy health insurance for the first time with their employers. And we had a family not too long ago that got into a home. They started putting money into a 529 plan for their son, who I remember as an infant when we did their home visit, but for their son to go to college. And he's not even, I think he's in like first grade right now. So I'm just absolutely moved by the fact that these families are lifting themselves up and building a future. We're helping a little bit out with the foundation, but these families are doing the heavy lifting. And to use that Rocket City reference, they're the rocket that's heading out to wherever God leads them. So I'm just glad we're able to play a part of that.
Boy, Jeremy, I know this is going to be a major segment on our broadcast because you have already provided some tremendous gems that sets the context for what this organization represents. And I want to back up for just one moment because you actually made me think about something. You started as family service coordinator. You've gone up the ranks to now you're leading the organization. How did you find out about Habitat? What were your early experiences like as a Habitat employee? And what has the journey been like as you have navigated from when you started to where you are today?
That's a great question. I was actually asked that the other day, and was asked about my fondest memories of Habitat, and really, or one that brings back the most emotion. And really, one of those is even before I started at Habitat. Prior to being at Habitat, I worked for another nonprofit here in Huntsville that served North Alabama. And one October, and one of my responsibilities there was to oversee a transportation program, bring patients either to Huntsville or Birmingham for medical care. And one October morning, it was right after I got married, one of my drivers called in sick. And so I had to go out and since the last second, I'm jumping in my Jeep Cherokee and driving out to Limestone County to pick up this patient. And I don't remember the drive, Kenny, but what I remember is pulling into this trailer park, and sides of trailers were covered with tarps and trash bags that you could tell had been slit down the middle and pressed and stapled into the side of the trailer, and the roofs were covered up. And I picked up this young lady, her mom, and this newborn child. I know I drove down to Birmingham, but none of them spoke a word of English, so it was a very quiet drive. But I remember going into the trailer, helping them move the infant into my car, getting the car seat ready, and I remember having to be bundled up to go inside that trailer. It was as cold inside the trailer as it was outside. And that's what has stuck with me these 21 years. That is what stuck with me. I still can see that young lady's face. And she's well into her 30s. That child is graduated high school by now, but I still see that face. And so that's that desire that keeps me going in this mission. And that's what brings me going. And then I can't help but be inspired by God and how he brings people together. And we get to be that focal point and see all of God's people come together and helping and partnering with these families. If it's out on a build site, if it's providing education, if it's whatever aspect it is, but seeing God's people together. If you want to see God's hands in action, come to Habitat. You'll see them. And it's amazing to be a part of that and have that opportunity. So I'm inspired every day. And by that. And I've been blessed that God has given me the opportunity to serve in this fashion and meet wonderful people from our homeowners to our volunteers, our donors, customers in the restore, and such.
Our community is often enamored by the growth and the opportunities that are often presented by the growth, the high-paying jobs that have come to our community, the opportunity to actually not, your first thought when you think about entertainment is, oh, gee, I'm going to have to go to Birmingham and Nashville. Things are really happening here now at the level that people are content with being in the community and being able to go to restaurants and plays and other kinds of things of that nature. And that's an amazing thing indeed. But with it comes a cost. And you talked about it a few moments ago. The cost of housing creates a huge challenge for people in our society today. You've already given us one number in terms of the cost of renting, but talk generally about what the challenge of housing is on the ground, because it's hard to see sometimes when people see the prosperity. If you drive by a mid-city, for example, or Providence or a Twickenham, and you think, oh, well, this is great. Look at Huntsville. But then you get on the ground and you really start engaging with the people who are challenged by these things, and you learn something else. Talk to me a little bit about that. Talk to my guests a little bit about that.
So, being in helping people with affordable housing and being in this industry as long as I have, when I first started, it was that substandard poverty housing that we dealt with so much at Habitat, and we could run orientations a couple times a month to bring families into our program. But starting with COVID, or during the COVID period, as we saw, and I think everybody's aware of it, rent and mortgages just skyrocketed, housing costs skyrocketed. And we were seeing families that were coming in here that are already in our program, and they're bringing us the notices from their landlords that within 30 days, their rent was going to go up by 30, 40, 60, even 100%. I remember a young woman coming in and, living in a decent apartment, had some challenges with it, but still not a bad apartment, over off Research Parkway. And her rent was going from $900 a month up to almost $1,800 a month. We're seeing that throughout the community. I continue to see that throughout the community these past 4 or 5 years. In addition to that, what we have is we have people coming into Huntsville, which we're excited to have people joining our community. I think it's a beautiful thing. I love seeing, new things come to town. You talk about the entertainment. You talk about the not having to travel to Birmingham to Nashville to see things. We can see that here now in Huntsville. And that's because all the new the community that's grown here. The problem is our housing hasn't kept up. As you keep filling that glass full of people, it's going to overflow at some point. That's what's happened. And everybody that's flowing out is typically our lower to working class individuals and families. And what they've become now is they've become homeless. And maybe not in the traditional sense where we see them on the street, but we're seeing more of these people living with family. And what breaks my heart, and what I think breaks our team's heart here, is that we're hearing the stories of mom having to make that decision of where her son's going to go live with a grandparent, the daughter's going to go live with an aunt, and hopefully mom can find a place with a friend. And we're seeing a lot of that in our community, that non-traditional homelessness. They don't get counted in the stats. They're there though. So we see a lot of that going on. That has been the biggest change I've seen in my professional time here at Habitat, in my professional life. And it's a new challenge. We find it more difficult now to find land. Land used to be not as challenging. I mean, it was always a little expensive, but now it's more expensive. And I remember back in the days when, lots would cost us, $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, even less than that. And today, we're looking for a developed lot. You're looking at $40,000, $60,000 in some areas. And that's so you have the infrastructure that's in there to support it. So we're dealing with a lot of challenges and, being able to move people in. We're seeing professionals now applying for the Habitat program. We closed our application process, but when we had people applying, we were finding nurses. We were finding people who have degrees applying for our program. People who traditionally we would not see coming to our doors. they are now coming to our doors, and they qualify for our program because of housing affordability. So it's changed a lot.
Yeah, it really is. I appreciate you unpacking that way, because, again, I think a lot of times people miss that. And they are moving at their own speed, and they're not really noticing. I think the other side of that is when you actually present the facts as they are, it also creates an opportunity for people who might even be listening this afternoon to say, hey, let me take a look at this organization and find out how I get plugged in. And we're going to give you lots of opportunities to do that, folks. We'll do that at the end of the show today. But in this quarterly segment, we're going to be unpacking the Habitat story so that you'll clearly understand how this organization exists, why it exists, and again, how you can be involved in that process. Jeremy, I'm talking with Jeremy Foulks this afternoon. He's the CEO of Habitat for Humanity of the River Valley. He has been with the organization a long time. He's seen a lot of things over the years, and he's very well resourced and knowledgeable in terms of the process. Talk to us a little bit about the structure of Habitat in terms of what does that structure look like to be able to fulfill your mission?
Well, the organization is basically, if you look, it's almost 4 businesses under one roof here of what we do. The first one is we are a social service ministry. That's our family services department, taking in the applicants, working with them to see if they need if they're able to qualify for our program. They also work to see about families who are in need of home repairs, in addition to just new housing. They walk with them as they go through the education program. These homes, for a family to get a home, they have to do 300 sweat equity hours to get that home. That's volunteer work that they do, both inside Habitat and outside in the community. But it includes about 63 hours of home ownership education. We've partnered with Cornerstone Initiative to do their faith and finance course. Huntsville Botanical Gardens help out with a landscaping course. The Huntsville Police Department, Huntsville Fire Department come in and talk about security of the home and how to protect your home, how to prevent fires. And then we have other partners that come in as well. The Dream Center doing a neighborhood initiative. So love the collaboration, again, community coming together. We also teach our own courses in-house. So we have home repair classes and construction and a mortgage class. And then, again, the family's doing the other sweat equity hours of volunteers. They're going to do about 100 hours out in the community or in our restore. They're partnering with Manor House, the Humane Society, with their local churches, a lot of different entities. And then they do about 100 hours in construction, working on the homes of others and eventually their own home. So once family meets certain benchmarks, we go from being that resource, that ministry of social service ministry, become a construction company. Now, a little bit different from your traditional, your Adams Homes or others, but we use volunteers for about 65% of the construction process. We do sub out a good bit for like the electrical, the plumbing, foundation, HVAC, with specialized trades that you need to have signed off by the inspector to make sure they meet the code and everything. And then our volunteers come in and they frame the homes. They do the flooring. They do the painting. They do, like I said, 65% of the work. And once that family meets that next benchmark, the home is done, as I mentioned before, we become a lending ministry. Typically 2 words you don't put together, lending and ministry, but here at Habitat, it works because of that Bible financing plan that we use. And finally, we have that restore here, which I think is absolutely amazing. People can come in, they can donate to the restore. We take household goods, furniture, building materials, and then it's open to the public where people can come in and they can buy, and they get a good price for those items. We also have brand new flooring in there, as well as new other items. And we're giving our community a good deal on the items that they purchase, and that money gets turned back in towards helping us do our mission here. On top of that, we have a good advocacy program here to talk to our local, state, and federal officials about housing and the need for equitable housing in our communities. We have resource development, so we're doing fundraisers and we're writing grants and doing all that fun stuff to fund this ministry. And we have other programs that are going on as well here. One of the ones that we just concluded was a art and sustainability. We had our first art showing in the restore. So Who would have ever thought that the Restore would become an art gallery? But you know what? It's helping us spread that word out through those artists. They're sharing with their communities that they're working with Habitat. People become aware of what Habitat does and the need for housing in our community. So, it's just another way for us to tackle this mission. And I love the innovation. The past two and a half years have been amazing. New home repair program, the art and sustainability program. We've expanded into Limestone and Jackson County. In fact, we're just going to be finishing up our first house in Jackson County. We've already done a repair on finishing our first home in Limestone County. And we've already done repairs in Limestone and Jackson County, in addition to the ones we're doing here in Madison County. So a lot of innovation going on, and I don't think we're done yet. We're in the process of strategic planning. We're looking at new ideas. We've surveyed and did assessments with the public, as well as our staff and our volunteers and our board. So I think we're not done growing. We're not done trying to figure out new ways to tackle this crisis we're facing. So I think that's one of the great things about our ministry. We're very open to new ideas. We're being very flexible. We're trying out new things. As I tell my staff, we can't be afraid to fail. We got to keep working at it. So, and they are.
Some of your funding sources are tied to the federal government in a variety of different ways. We know that there have been some challenges with the new administration in terms of those kinds of things. How, as you the leader of this organization, how are you positioning yourself in the organization to respond to those challenges?
Well, I think one of the great things about Habitat for Humanity of the River Valley, our organization, is we've never relied on one specific source of funding. Our funding is very diverse. I mentioned the Restore earlier. The mortgage payments that come in from our families, donations from the community, grants that we're receiving, among other sources. Federal funding that we get through the city of Huntsville, their home funds, have helped us build, 2, 3, 4 houses a year for the past few years. So it's a great source. It's a great opportunity for us to partner, bringing churches, businesses, civic groups in, along with the city of Huntsville, to build homes here in Huntsville. It's a force multiplier for us. But you're right, we can't rely just on federal funding, especially in today's world. We're seeing some challenges there. So we're looking at other ways to diverse our funding opportunities, be it through fundraisers, donations, gifting kinds through local contractors and vendors. So we're looking at other ways that we can continue to fund this ministry and continue to serve this community.
That's like the, don't miss this layup to the host and producer, because you said fundraiser, and you got a huge one that's coming up on May the 1st. It's called Raise the Roof. It is your annual fundraiser. I know that the fundraising is going very well right now for that. Tell us a little bit about that fundraiser.
Raise the Roof is our annual fundraiser, as you mentioned, and it's a wonderful evening. We usually bring in a guest speaker to come in and talk, and there's a lot of inspiration that goes on during this event. It's at the VBC, as you mentioned, on May 1st from 6 to 8, and we've got a really good lineup on this. I know we have a certain individual that might be emceeing this event. Won't mention any names, but we've got board members that are going to be coming up and doing presentations. We're going to be honoring President Carter. I'll go ahead and mention that, as well as we're going to be honoring our own Mr. Habitat, Bill Gardini, who's retired. Started with us in 1989. We were founded here in Huntsville in 1987. He joined us in 1989. Has filled every role at Habitat that there is to fill. In fact, he's actually was on the chair of the committee that founded the Restore. And he finally put up his tool belt last month. So we're going to honor Bill, our Mr. Habitat, and thank him for the hundreds of families that he has served and this community he has served. We'll also have a couple of other exceptional things that we'll do. I don't want to give any surprises, but we're going to be celebrating some families who've hit some really big milestones. What I'm dreaming about as a homeowner myself. Let that kind of sink in a little bit. And then our speaker for the night is actually going to be, our special speaker for the night is going to be some homeowners that we have. I think it's important to hear directly from those that have been served. And I want the community to hear something that's very inspiring. A family that has taking themselves out of a one-bedroom apartment and has built a real future for themselves, an amazing future for themselves. And I just couldn't be more excited. We actually took this husband and wife to Washington, D.C. with us in February for Habitat on the Hill to talk to our federal legislators, and had good meetings with them. But I think their story is just amazing. But it's one of a million stories that we have. That's a great thing about it. So we're excited to share that story with our community.
Jeremy, I'm going to give you a big question as the last question with just a little bit of time. So, but I know you can do it. What do you hope your legacy will be as it relates to the long time that you have invested your life and your service into Habitat?
That's a difficult question. It's a good one. Kenny, I hope I made a difference. I know I've done some good. I have a picture of a young girl that I'm holding in my arms who's 4 years old. Her mom's getting the keys to a home. And 14 years later, I get a graduation announcement from that young lady. Wow. I hope my legacy here is that we have provided, as a family, this community, that we have provided not just that one 4-year-old that opportunity, that we have provided thousands of 4-year-olds that opportunity to help their mom and their dad out, to give them the opportunity to be successful and to get that education and to celebrate. My daughter's going to be celebrating next month her graduation, and I want every parent to be able to experience that. I want every parent to have the opportunity to give their child that opportunity to go to have a safe environment to do their studies, have a safe environment to know that they can grow and become all they got intents. If we've done that by the time my time here at Habitat's done, it's been successful, and I'm proud of it. And I can walk to the pearly gates and say, God, thank you for the opportunity, and I hope I pleased him.
Well, he will say welcome and well done. And of course, that's what most of us who are believers should be focusing our interest on and our attention on, doing something that lies outside of ourselves to serve others, and certainly doing something that will live long past the lives that we have been granted on this planet. He's Jeremy Foulks. He's CEO, president of Habitat for Humanity of the River Valley. I consider Jeremy a friend. In fact, I'll say this, which I did not say at the beginning because this segment's not about me, but I'm a board member of Habitat. Served on the board many, many years ago, but very few people can have a conversation with me prior to my retiring where I'm saying I'm rolling off of boards and ask me to consider coming on a board. Very few people can do that, but Jeremy did it, and it's because of my respect for his legacy, what he's invested in this organization up to now, and then the long-term legacy of Habitat and what it represents to this community and communities everywhere. And so I'm honored to be a part of this process. Jeremy, I'm so honored to have an opportunity to establish this segment as part of our quarterly segments for Second Chance. And I want you to let people know briefly how they can learn more about Habitat.
Definitely. First thing, go to habitatrivervalley.org. That's our website. You can find us on Facebook by doing a simple search for Habitat River Valley. You can call 256-533-2282, and they'll take you both to the office as well as the restore. Just dial 1 for the restore. They'll tell you everything they have in there. They'll even schedule pickups if you need to want us to come out and pick up some items from you. And then, follow us on social media. Like I said, Facebook, we're on Instagram. I think our staff's getting them on just about everything we can get on right now. So it's great. But Kenny, thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do for this community. Thank you for the opportunity to come up and speak about Habitat. God bless you, and just love the opportunity to partner with you again.
Outstanding. Well, thank you. And we look forward to having these conversations on a regular basis. Thank you, Jeremy. Have a good rest of the day.
You too, Kenny. Bye.
All right. He's Jeremy Foulks. He is the CEO and president of Habitat for Humanity of the River Valley. And of course, as I said, this is a brand new segment. You can expect to hear from them quarterly. And even if things come up from time to time that we got to get them on the air and let you know what's going on, we're going to definitely commit to doing that. And I'm very honored, as I said earlier, to be able to facilitate that information. I'm going to come back in just a moment and introduce you to our next guest. I'm Kenny Anderson. It's Second Chance. I hope that you're having a great day.
Why do we say praise 90.1 FM? Because the blessing is in the praise. Filling your day with songs of praise on Praise 90.1 FM.
You wonder how he could love me so. I'll never know. For his love has given me security. So happy
You rely on WJOU to encourage you spiritually every day. You tune in to hear songs that uplift you and remind you of God's love, programs that help anchor you in God's Word. WJOU keeps you strengthened for the hustle and bustle of daily life and growing your relationship with Christ. As you continue to tune in to WJOU each day, consider a financial gift to this ministry. Visit online at give.wjou.org.
I don't know about you, but I was kind of feeling that throwback on Tremaine Hawkins' Look at Me from many, many years ago. One of my first introductions to contemporary gospel music and so much more. Still love that song today. And, of course, Tremaine is a legend indeed. We, of course, are on the broadcast Second Chance. I'm Kenny Anderson. As always, delighted to be here with you. Our previous guest, Jeremy Foulks, the CEO and president of the Habitat for Humanity of the River Valley, introducing a brand new segment that we're going to be doing quarterly on this show. And I think that we had a wonderful start and introduction to that process. We, of course, are starting a second brand new segment. And even though she's been on the broadcast before, she's now going to be featured quarterly in this particular place. And we're very honored and delighted to have her. The segment is called All Aboard, the nonprofit Power Up series, and it features commentary and more from Tenesha Thomas. Tenesha is a dynamic nonprofit consultant who thrives at the intersection of strategy, leadership, and impact. As the founder of Onboard Solutions, she brings a wealth of experience in municipal government, nonprofit management, and community service to help organizations move from good intentions to measurable results. With a keen ability to facilitate strategic plans that inspire action, cultivate boards that function with confidence, and promote workplace cultures rooted in purpose, Tenesha ensures that the organizations that she works with aren't just maintaining momentum, but scaling their mission for long-term success. And we're so delighted to have her today to kick off this brand new segment. And the heading, the title, the topic for today is going to be Culture is Key, Why Nonprofit Leadership Starts at the Top. Tenesha, welcome back to the Second Chance broadcast and welcome to this regular placeholder every quarter.
Thank you, Kenny. Glad to be back. Glad to be here. Are you hearing the echo or is it on my end?
It's probably on your end. I don't hear anything over this way, but
okay. Well, yeah, I think I just got rid of it. But sorry about that.
Okay.
Yeah, it was on my end. But
okay.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here in this new placeholder, kinks and all. But here we are. Just a little bit of kinks to get through to warm me up and get me going. You know, what is a podcast, a live broadcast without a hiccup? So wouldn't be a broadcast without a hiccup.
Well, listen, we're used to hiccups, so that's perfectly fine. And we just kind of keep moving forward as we will do it this time in this process. Again, I'm excited about this and really kind of continuing a conversation that we started earlier this year when you shared your passion, your desire, your interest to be able to really facilitate meaningful and strategic conversations around nonprofits and how they operate. And I remember talking in that earlier conversation this year about how many nonprofits there are just here in Madison County. And you can probably just triple and quadruple and quintuple it, and more as you think about, just kind of moving across the nation. Okay, now we're moving from Madison County throughout the rest of the state. Now we're moving across state lines, and then we're moving across the nation. And there are probably nonprofits everywhere. So I know people are listening this afternoon who can benefit from what you have to say, both in this community and beyond, because there are people joining us in a lot of different places around the nation and the world today. So we thank them for that. Tenesha, what an interesting topic. Culture is key. Why nonprofit leadership starts at the top. And it's one of those things that really kind of caught my attention because I do think that the buck stops with the leadership. And that however that leader moves into that space is so critical to the success of that organization in determining its success. Not that it's not a team effort, because at the end of the day it is, but the buck does stop with the leader. Why was this particular topic so important for you to start our regular conversations with?
I think right now, Kenny, just culture in general is really the difference maker in a lot of organizations, and especially nonprofits. And one of the things when you talk about culture, work environments, and atmosphere, one thing that is really, really predicated upon culture is leadership. Leadership, the old saying, you lead by example. What example are you setting? And leadership meaning your executive director, CEO, board members, those type of leadership, people, staff, the community, they're watching. And so I thought it was important to start off that series because, again, the buck stops there. Most leaders, EDs, and CEOs are the faces of the organization. They're what the public sees. And so that's that first, you never get a second chance to make a first impression. So how they present a lot of times is indicative of how the organization will present. And so you want to make sure that you're starting off with your best foot forward. The first thing that people see is going to be your leader, those figureheads, your board members. And you want to make sure that the culture that they're emanating is one that someone wants to plug into, tap into, support in one way or the other.
There's a lot that you have stirred in my head just by saying what you just said, and I'm going to try to talk about a little bit of it and kind of suppress my enthusiasm because I think we're really on to something that's going to be able to help some people today. And that's really what we're all about, helping people navigate through challenges that they may face. Yeah. It is very common and it is very easy for people to point their fingers at the person with the title, president, CEO, executive director, and more when the problem emerges or when the problem is sustained and when the problem is impacting the organization. But we know for nonprofits that decision is not made by the person who is in charge because someone has made a decision about putting that person in charge, and that's typically the board.
Yep.
So talk to me a little bit about why it's so important for boards to approach the process of the organization's leadership in a strategic manner.
Okay, here we go. Let's seatbelt on. We're in position. Let's go. So it's funny we start here, but why not? One thing's for sure and two things for certain. People serve on boards, but more often than not, they don't understand the gravity of what that means especially in terms of a nonprofit organization. A board is a critical component of that. And it's not a role. I just made a post a couple of days ago on LinkedIn talking about this very thing. It's not an honorary position. It's a position that is really critical and detrimental to an organization, right? And so I think in terms of a board choosing a leader, first things first, the board has to be engaged to begin with. And that engagement looks like tapped into the mission and the vision, knowing where the current status of the organization is, where they need to go, where they've grown from, and finding someone that can plug in and get into alignment with that. Not just necessarily a seat filler, but someone that you can plant roots and that they can actually grow. I'm always looking 2-3 steps down the road. Some people may say that's a flaw. I feel like it's necessary. And I feel like a lot of times the ball can get dropped because when there's a vacancy in that top spot, whether it be ED, CEO, what have you, when there's a vacancy there, the board's looking at each other like, who's going to do it? Who's going to do it? I don't know what we're going to do. We need somebody, get somebody heard. And there's like no strategy that has gone into the decision whatsoever. And so I'm really big on succession planning and just, again, preparing for what could happen. People get in and say, oh, they won't go anywhere. She's comfortable. You don't know what will happen. You should always be thinking 2-3 steps ahead. So with a good succession plan, a good strategic plan, it should be fairly simple for a board to strategically recruit for someone to check the boxes. And I say check the boxes loosely, but to at least check the boxes specific to that organization. Because a CEO at, I don't know, Bureau on the Mountain is going to look a lot different from a CEO or executive director at Girls Inc. And so you have to know the board has to have an intimate understanding and relationship of the organization they're serving on first and foremost before they can bring someone else into it. If you don't know where the items are in your kitchen, how are you going to make a successful meal? You need to familiarize yourself and be comfortable about what it is that you're serving on and have a good succession plan, a good strategic plan, and finding someone to lead that mission and catapult it forward should come fairly easier.
I have found that the destruction of many nonprofits begins with the failure to have a succession plan and the failure to have a strategic plan. No organization will be sustainable without a strategic plan, because you don't have anything to measure against what's happening. And few organizations will be successful to their maximum and optimal level without a succession plan, meaning that, they can have a person leading who's great. They can stumble through a successor and then they can find their way back home. But look at the time that's been lost in the process. So you're dealing with a matter of inefficiency in terms of the person's ability to grow, the organization's ability to grow. I want to ask this, though. I'm being a little messy right now. Actually, I'll be perfectly honest with you, but it's okay because I'm the host.
Good old messy Kenny.
So should there be term limits for CEOs and presidents of nonprofits? What are your thoughts about that?
So, okay. I really think it
depends. That's what you're trying to say.
It depends. And there's a couple of things that it hinges on. And this goes back to where we just began with your board and having that engaged board. There's one thing to have a leader, because I've seen leaders that have, sat in these seats for years, and I've seen it go to the left and go to the right. Usually when it goes to the left, there's one thing that is like the kiss of death for a nonprofit. And that's, we've always done it this way. Failure to change, lack of innovation, and someone that is, if it's not broken, why fix it? We're comfortable. We're doing the thing. It becomes second nature to them. They become so comfortable in that seat. They can do it with their eyes closed, and any type of threat to change or the talk, if you say, they're going to start shaking in their boots because it's like change. And so what are you doing? This is how we've always done it. So if you have a person like that, then that's where the uncomfortable conversations come in with your board. Okay, the mission, the people that we're serving, the vision is not there anymore. And so we need to have a conversation. Either some innovation is going to have to take place, or a switch in leadership is necessary. Or you have someone that is able to sit in that seat and they understand that innovation is necessary. They understand that if they started in 1985, there's no way possible that what worked in 1985 is going to work in 2025. And if you think that it will, that's a red flag from the start. There's no way we can change, and time and everything around you can change, but your organization remains the same. So I think it really goes back to that leader and just those measurable things. You made a comment earlier about, the organization needing a strategic plan. And I always want to preface that because a lot of organizations have strategic plans that go and just sit to the side. You need an active strategic plan that you're actually measuring strategic goals. You're going back to that plan and making sure it's current. If it's a 2-year plan, every 2 years, every 3 years, you need to make sure that it's a living, breathing document. And if it is, that in and of itself can't facilitate stagnation. That only promotes growth. So one thing about having that strategic plan is just making sure that you're actually following it. Don't just say, okay, we got one, here it is, put it to the side. If you adhere to that, then that promotes growth even without necessarily trying. So yeah, I think it can be done with the right leader, with someone that's open and willing to understand that innovation is necessary for anything. But there are a lot of times where avoiding that tough conversation with someone that has been there, and I know there's a respect level. Oh, he or she has been here she's done so much. They've done so much. I understand that. But the bigger picture is the community that you're serving. And if you need to make some changes to meet those needs, then so be it.
It is presumed that when a person is leading an organization, that someone is doing a performance evaluation of them, at least on an annual basis. Yeah, I may have needed to emphasize the word presume because that's not done in every organization. And I think that's unfortunate and in some instances tragic. And I was wondering what your thoughts might be about that annual performance evaluation. And also, let me add this to as well. How extensive should that be? Should it just stay with the board or should it also reach out to stakeholders and consumers?
I think that in order for you to actually be as robust as you can be, your evaluations need to be the same. And so, and especially when you reach out beyond the organization, because that's a good indicator to people that you want to buy into the organization. So I do think your key stakeholders and funders and sponsors in some way, shape, or form can tap into that evaluation. Now, you don't have to send a letter out to some company and say, hey, grade me, tell me, but there's a strategic way that you can make sure you're making that touch point and that you're also getting their feedback and their understanding and their view of you. I think when we talk about leadership and performance evaluations, I think that it should go both ways. Definitely an executive director and a CEO, there should be an evaluation that's done by the board and vice versa. There should be something done from the leadership perspective towards the board, because that relationship is the most important relationship and it has to work in tandem. And I think you're right, Kenny. A lot of times it's presumed that those things happen, but you'd be surprised. And you probably won't be surprised because I know that you'll, talk to some people and they're like, well, no, we've never done that. And it shows 9 times out of 10 that it hasn't been done, but I think it's necessary. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but again, if we go back to these strategic plans and ways of thinking, that is a way that you can kind of measure to make sure that these things are being done. So, and you don't have to do an assessment every year. You can do an assessment maybe every 2 years. You can do it whatever rate that you need to do it. But there needs to be some type of mechanism in place to make sure the right hand knows what the left is doing and the left hand knows what the right is doing. So I support assessments in all facets, from the staff level on up, staff to leadership to staff, leadership to board. I believe that it's necessary across the board.
Yeah, I mean, working in an academic environment for many, many years, I was a department chair and then I was a dean. And so not only was I being evaluated on an annual basis, but initially, I should say, when I first went to work for those 3 years of, prior to being tenured, I'm evaluated every year because there's a presumption in some ways that because I'm there, I'm doing what I need to be doing. And I think that a lot of people get lazy in terms of the administrative functions of people in organizations. We've named them, and in some instances, they have a name. And so we just kind of keep our hands off of them, and it's like we just kind of let things go. But we really have to have a more strategic and intentional approach to that, because it's really all about accountability.
Yeah.
And it's about creating that opportunity to share information in ways that can benefit the organization, because no one is bigger than an organization.
That's correct. And I think a lot of times, if left unchecked, that's when you have those things, that toxic culture. And that's one of the things that I wanted to make sure that I brought up in this conversation is the advent of the toxic culture and all of those things that you just said, specifically not having that avenue where that exchange of information can go. That is a seed to toxicity. Yeah. And I think when we talk about leadership and really setting the tone, even the relationship between the ED, CEO, and board chair, that's a very dynamic and powerful relationship. And it sets the tone in a lot of ways, from the board level to the staff level. And even when you think your staff is not watching, they're watching. They feel it. And even if they don't necessarily see it indirectly, they feel it, and they feel it in the workload. They may feel it in the lack of pay. They may feel it in one way, shape, or the other, but they feel it. And I think that this, right now we're in an age of people aren't going into jobs anymore, whether it be for-profit or nonprofit. They're not going into it with a 20-year plan, of yesteryear. If someone walks into a job now and they stay there for 10, 15 years, 20 years, I'd be shocked. right now this culture of quiet quitting where people are really emphasizing balance, recognition, work-life balance, the overcompensation culture. And I was reading something, and I think I may have made a note that there's a trend that now culture is one of the leading drivers in people's decision on how long they stay at an employer. Overcompensation. So you're willing to take less pay if your work environment is less toxic. And I think when you think about things, and this is one of the things that I always consider, especially in a leadership position, knowing that you're working from a budget that may be trim and very, scarce, there are other ways that you can give employees benefits and compensation that does not cost you anything. Yep. And I think that trend is supporting that. And so, when we talk about some of the things that make work environment toxic, it's that lack of that back and forth, that avenue to be able for people on whatever level that they might be on to just be heard. A lot of times people that I work with, leaders that I work with, and they may have issues with their staff, the very first thing I tell them, when you're listening to them, listen to understand. Don't listen to excuse away or to downplay what they're telling you. If someone's expressing something to you, hear them. Hearing them and making sure that people feel like they are heard is one of the best things that you can do. And not only do you hear them, ask them what they need from you. What do you need from me to help you? And that will go so far because people have been pounded upon. And it's very easy as a leader to say, hey, could you make sure you send this to the board? Could you make sure you do that? Can you make sure? And it's just like one thing after the other. And it paints this picture. And I used this a couple of days ago, again, on LinkedIn. It's almost like on the Titanic. The staff is under there stoking the coal and the executive directors and boards are upstairs dancing, but y'all all are on a sinking ship. And so at what point do you come together and say, hey, we got to figure this thing out before it's iceberg right ahead?
Yeah, before we have to hit the lifeboats.
Exactly.
Tenesha.
We don't have enough of.
Tenesha Thomas is founder of Onboard Solutions. We're launching a brand new quarterly segment today called All Aboard, the nonprofit Power Up series, and we're grateful to have her to be a part of that. Tenesha, if people wanted to reach out to you, how would they do that?
Couple ways. You can always go to my website. It's onboardonbrand.com. So that's onboardonbrand.com. And I definitely encourage you to connect with me on LinkedIn. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. My first name is Tenesha, last name Thomas, Thomas. I post pretty frequently over there, and it's along the same lines of what you've heard today on this episode. So I encourage you to connect there, and we can always figure out ways that I can help you and your organization get on board and on brand.
Thank you so much, Tenesha. We look forward to continuing the conversation.
Yes. Thank you, Kenny, for having me.
All right. Have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
We'll be back in just a moment.
Is there any way that I can make it? Seems I've got so far to go. Though it may not be easy, I have this just want to die, Lord. Then I fall, Lord, right back in your loving arms. Sing each mountain I have climbed, knowing it was really you who carried me right on through. But I'm going on just the same. God, you promised to be with me through the storm and through the rain. God, you are my everything.
There are a lot of reasons you tune in to WJOU. It gets you up and gets you moving in the morning. That song you heard last week came on at just the right time and lifted your spirits. Something you heard on one of our programs helped you sort through a problem you were having. Whatever the reason it is that you tune into WJOU is the same reason it's worth supporting. Your support matters to us, and when you give to WJOU, you become a part of the reason why we do what we do. Make your gift of support today at give.wjou.org. We're stronger together. Praise 90.1 FM WJOU.
Welcome back to the broadcast. I hope that you're enjoying all of the great conversations that we're having today. We just finished talking with Tenesha Thomas. She is the founder of Onboard Solutions, and we were having a great conversation about just the whole dynamic of nonprofit leadership and some of the challenges that people face. It will be a new quarterly segment, so we look forward to talking to her again in a few months. Another quarterly segment that we look forward to from quarter to quarter is a segment that we call BYOB, Be Your Own Boss, facilitated and coordinated by Vicki Morris. She is president and chief strategist of Face-to-Face Marketing, where she does things like corporate training, website development, and so much more. We're honored to have her with us today. Vicki, how are you doing?
I am doing great. It's good to be here and coming on the heels of a birthday. So this is a great way to continue that celebration.
Yeah, well, if you're like me, I won't say smart like me because some people want to cut it short, but if you're like me, you celebrate all month long.
Amen. Yes, sir. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah, listen, birthdays are blessings. I say every day is a blessing, but especially a birthday when you can really kind of embrace the blessing of another day that represents the day that you were born. So I'm not even going to say belated happy birthday. Whenever people say happy birthday to me, that's perfectly fine. You can do it early. You could do it late. You could do it right on time. It don't matter. Happy birthday's good.
Yes, yes.
Have you enjoyed celebrating your birthday?
I have. And the biggest thing that I didn't work on that day. So being an entrepreneur, you know, we're always working. Always working. So I was like, you know what? If I do nothing else but not work, I did a good thing.
Listen, hey, listen, I think that's business 101 that people really need to figure out how to do. Even if you got to, like, in your strategic plan, talk about how you can take one day off, your birthday, out of the whole year to make sure that you have a chance to recharge, regroup, and re-energize. Toward the end of my professional career, working in the different arenas I've worked in, especially the last one, there was a phase of about almost 2 years where I decided to take every Friday off. And I decided even 5 years before that to not work on my birthday anymore, because it's like, I mean, if you're not going to do it for yourself, who's going to do it for you?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes.
And I know you feel so much better that you did.
Yes. Yes. And so one of the gifts of, you know, having a big health situation, chemo, you know, every other Wednesdays I take off. So I just had that into my schedule, and, you know, we're 2.5 years post chemo. I'm still taking Wednesdays off. So if you try to schedule a meeting with me on Wednesday, it's not going to happen.
Well, listen, I love it. And just keep doing what you're doing, because that is so valuable and so important. Of course, Vicki comes always bearing gifts, the gifts of information and perspective about a variety of different things. You may remember that last November time frame, there was a big Black Business Expo that she and my good friend Mikhail Buchanan were coordinating. And we had them come on and talk and share about this great event that was going to take place at St. Luke Christian Church, and why it was happening, what they hoped to accomplish from it, and why it was so important that it was actually going down. Well, it had to be pretty successful because they're planning to do it one more time. And this is not their second time. This is something that they're just committed to doing and being in the space of. Vicki, it's exciting. It's coming up once again, May 17th. Tell us a little bit about what's going on this time.
Yes, so we are so fortunate to be invited back to this amazing venue. It's, you know, really centrally located. Most people know where that big church up on the hill is between UAH and Oakwood. And I just tell people, like, oh yeah, I know that church, that place. And it's an amazing facility. We've got this in November was our first time there. We had food trucks, we had several vendors, lots of places for people to spread out and just really intermingle in between the vendors. And we have a really cool space for our seminars. That's one of the things that I like to really hone in on is business seminars for businesses of all types, B2B, B2C, B2G, whether it's a hobby, whatever it is you're doing, there's always things that you can fine tune. And, you know, I was listening to the conversation with Tenesha, and she was hitting on strategy. Oh my goodness, that is something I'm so big on, so important. And you can apply those things to business. And so just making sure that we have a good time, we are connecting with one another, and we're finding ways to grow our business and grow our community together. Because at the end of the day, the economy, whether it's national, state level, or municipal economies, are built on the back of small business. And when small business is strong, our economy is strong. This is one way I can help ensure that our local small business community across the entire area is strong. And we have fun doing it.
Well, it sounds like the perfect combination of ingredients. And of course, that's really exciting and thrilling to know that. I want to go back to what you said. We never want to bury the headline, but you really have elevated this both times, the whole notion of these seminars that are taking place.
Yeah.
Are you able to tell us what the topics are or what they'll be focused on?
Yes. So we're working on a few right now. So we got marketing, messaging, and AI. How you going to get AI into your messaging and do it easily and strategically. So I'm really excited about that one.
And that's a really important one. When we're going to get this all in, Vicki. I want to make sure we let people know the value of this. This is not a check the box thing, folks. We want you to come out because I know you do too. So many people, I've got a business. I'm trying to figure out how to make it work. And I'm trying to figure out how to get plugged in. I'm figuring out how to grow it. I want to start it. All of these different things. And then they don't show up for these events and these opportunities. We got to have you folks. Put this down on your calendars. May 17th, we're going to tell you more about how to find out about that in a moment. But this is going to be critical stuff that you can walk away from knowing that you're more confident in your journey and that there are resources and assets out there that are available through a network of individuals who want to support you. So the AI piece is so important.
Yeah. And so I want people to know that don't let the price tag fool you. Free does not mean junk information. You are getting some high quality content that anywhere else outside of this seminar, you're going to have to pay for this type of information.
That's right.
And because of the relationships Mikhail and I have with several people in the community, they're willing to give this information away. Yep. And I'm asking speakers to have handouts and downloads and different things, tangible things, so that you can walk away from each seminar with tools, tactics, and strategies that you can put into place before you walk out that door. That's huge. And then opportunities to connect with these professionals that are doing the seminars, because we all want the same thing. We want to help businesses grow. And it's an amazing thing. So two of the other ones that we have lined up, getting your business set up the right way. I talk about people, and you just said, I got a business, I started a business, I'm liking this business. I don't know what to do, who do I need to get connected with, and how do I need to make sure I get this funding and all of these things? Well, first, you need to be set up correctly. Just because, your auntie told you don't have to go get a business license, you need to get a business license. You need to get set up with your business privilege tax. You need to get set up correctly so that you protect yourself. And this is great information that you need to know. And we've got legal experts, attorneys that specialize in business setup that are going to be coming and delivering that seminar. Business funding. It's another hot topic. People always look at, how can I get a grant? How can I get funding? How can I get a loan? The bank won't give me a loan. What do I need to do? You need to come to this seminar, number one. And we're going to walk you through the steps. We're going to give you checklists and action items and tell you how to be prepared. Sometimes you're going to the bank and not saying the right thing, or not showing up with the right materials, or not thinking in the right way to get to the yes. Understanding what they want, not so much going in understanding what I want to get. What do they need to get from me to get the yes? This is the things that we're going to be talking about in the seminar. And, it's no fluff. We don't have time for fluff in the seminars because they're only about 20, 30 minutes a piece. So we're going to get you that great information and then go downstairs and buy some things at the expo. I set aside about $100 every expo to spend with vendors. I have not been able to keep to that $100. I have spent over that every expo, but I say that because I am practicing what I preach. I'm asking people to come out and support these vendors, and I'm set aside a small amount that you're going to spend with these vendors. You're coming for free. It's a great indoor facility. It's springtime in the South. It's going to be hot, but it's going to be air conditioned inside. And we got some great food trucks out there. So we're going to make sure we have a great time. And we got a DJ. We had so many comments last time about the music was just awesome. It was keeping the vibe, fresh, and the energy full in the room, and it wasn't too loud, it wasn't too much, it was just right. We got the same DJ coming back. We've got a professional photographer and videographer coming. We recorded business owners talking about their business on us. We took care of that. So why would you not want to be a vendor here and coming to this event? And then we're sharing those testimonials. It's a testimonial about the event, but it's also them being able to share about their business on our platform. And the beauty of that is our platform is based off of my contacts and Mikhail's contacts. These are contacts that you might not have access to, but because I'm sharing them, they're now seeing your information. And if you're smart, this is helping you grow your contact sphere and the people that you can collaborate and form business relationships with.
It sounds like a great opportunity, one that people should not want to miss. So let's tell people where they can get more information about the various elements. There may be some people just want to come. There may be people who want to vend, or be vendors. So let people know how they can reach out.
Yes. So 2 simple ways. First way, go to the website, blackbusinessexpohsv.com. You can find out information there. You can sign up to be a vendor or just register to attend. Registration helps us because we give a very nice directory of all the businesses to everyone who registered. That goes to the vendors and to people who register. So yeah, we're trying to fuel the economy, make some connections. Register there or go to our Facebook page. We're posting tons of content and sharing vendor posts. So my team and I, we're a marketing team, and we're putting together some pretty fantastic looking graphics for our vendors as a part of being a part of our expo. So look at that, find out all that information on our Facebook page, and it's Black Business Expo HSV on Facebook.
Well, folks, I would absolutely make sure that I invest my time in learning more about this event. It's going to take place on May the 17th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. Vicki has provided information for how you can get connected. We'll also make sure that we drop that in the chat box, or if she happens to be monitoring the feed that day, then she can drop it in the chat box so people can know what's going on. Vicki has her hands in lots of different things, but you also have another initiative that I know we wanted to talk about today, the Marketing and Messaging Mastery Series. Tell us about what that is.
Yes, so that is a seminar series that I'm putting together, teaching people basic marketing funnel building. Marketing is a big word, and a lot of people are confused as to what exactly it means because it means so many different things. This 6-part seminar series is helping you focus in on one area, your messaging. Who are you talking to? What pain points are you solving? And what solutions does your company offer? We talk about building a funnel, attracting people to your message, and giving them easy pieces of content that they can digest and implement and decide if they want to do business with you. We've got several different things that we've talked about. The content conundrum. Content. People tell you all this content you got to put up there. What's the right content? What's the right rhythm of content to put out there? How much should you put out there? When should you put it out there? How should you frame it? You think about all the great and wonderful things about your business and that you want to tell people that you think are important. But that's not what's important. What's important is how your product or service solves their problem from their perspective. So these are things that you want to be thinking about in developing that content. And so all of the seminars are aligned in that. We talk about the buyer journey. A lot of people don't understand where they are on the buyer journey, and it doesn't stop or start with the purchase. It starts long before the purchase and it continues long after the purchase, so that you have raving happy fans and you're training them to continually come back to you as a source of information. And I'm teaching you how to build all of that so you have sustainable, reliable repeat business from your top tier clients.
That is something that people want to mark down and take note of. Tell people, again, this segment, folks, is called BYOB, Be Your Own Boss, because we are in a huge entrepreneurial space here in this community. We're in a huge space where people are talking about building their own thing, and building your own thing really requires resources. It requires tools. Yes. It requires information and network, et cetera, et cetera. Vicki consistently and continually provides these opportunities. So tell people how they can learn more about the Marketing and Messaging Mastery Series.
Yes. So like I didn't have enough to do already, I started another business called V-Renee Consulting. And so this is where I do a lot of these seminars, and they can go to V-Renee Consulting /seminars, and you can find the seminars that I've already done, the seminars that are coming up, and there's one button on there that you click to sign up for that and get all that information. And then we can have a little bit of a conversation and find out what you're most interested in. I'm making a way for people to take advantage of all the seminars I've done before and all the seminars that are to come, so that you have the basic tools to get started. And if you come to all 6 of these seminars or take part in all 6 of them, you will have a runway that will give you 3 to 6 months of vitality in your marketing messaging if you do the things. And these are very affordable seminars. I can't believe how much they are not costing. And
are they virtual?
Go to the website.
Are they virtual seminars?
Yes, I am going to be adding a virtual component. I keep getting messages of people saying, hey, I wish it was virtual, or hey, I'm glad it's going to be in person. So I can't quite give up the in-person, but I am going to do the virtual because there's some people that are working a 9-to-5 and they can't come to a seminar during the day. And there's some people that they're already into their entrepreneurial journey and they got time during the day that they can come to that. So I want to make sure I'm making an effort to reach all of my audience. So yes, there will be some virtual options for these seminars.
Yeah, and being on this broadcast, you have multiple options too, because we're all over the internet. And so people may be listening anywhere in the nation today, anywhere in the world, and saying, boy, that sounds like some good information that I need to get a hold of. Vicki, tell people how they can stay connected to you and make sure that they don't miss anything that you're offering.
Yes. So the very best way, I send out all my best things first on my email list. You can go to VReneeConsulting.com, scroll to the bottom, and just sign up for the email list. That is the place where you get everything first. If you don't want to join the email list, you can check out our LinkedIn page. And it's just my name, Vicki Morris, on LinkedIn. I'm sharing all of the information there. And of course, we have our Facebook page, V-Renee Consulting. There's also Vicki W. Morris page and my face-to-face marketing page.
And Vicki with an I, not a Y.
This is true. Yes, this is very important.
Yeah.
VICKI.
Yep. Yeah, I want to make sure people land on the right spot now, so that's a good thing. Vicki joins us for BYOB, Be Your Own Boss, quarterly, and we appreciate all the great information that she has to share. Low cost or no cost, folks. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that we love on this broadcast because we're all about inspiring you to become better and to give you tools by which you can do that. And we don't want to be a disincentive to people who want to grow their businesses and grow their personal development skills and their career development skills. We want to be able to point you in the direction of things that can still help you at, again, low cost or no cost. And Vicki does that consistently. Vicki, thank you for joining us this afternoon.
Well, thank you for having me. It is always a pleasure. I look forward to our conversations every single time.
All right. Well, take care and have a good rest of the day.
You too.
All right. That's Vicki Morris. She is the president and chief strategist of face-to-face marketing. And we're grateful that she joined us this afternoon. A lot of good stuff. We'll go ahead and post that on the Second Chance social media page on Facebook as well as Instagram so that you can make sure that you track that information and that you know what's going on. I'm going to come back in just a moment, tell you about what's happening next week. I'm Kenny Anderson at Second Chance. I hope that you're having an amazing afternoon.
Perhaps you have some ideas, comments, or suggestions that you would like to share. Or perhaps you'd like to be a guest on the broadcast. We'd love to hear from you. Please feel free to email Kenny Anderson at mxlife@aol.com, or you can like us on the Second Chance Facebook page. That's 2ND Chance. And now, back to more of Second Chance with Kenny Anderson.
Thank you again for allowing us to be a part of your Sunday afternoon. We hope that you enjoyed the information that you have heard. We hope that if you've been on the live stream, that you'll actually share the information. So click that share button on Facebook, click that share button on YouTube. Let somebody know if there was something that you heard today that was beneficial to you, that they might be able to benefit from as well. I want to thank my guest, Appreccia Faulkner, the founder and CEO of Global Strategists Association based in Chicago, for joining me this afternoon. Jeremy Foulks, the CEO and president of Habitat for Humanity of the River Valley. And, of course, a brand new segment. We're going to be talking with him once a quarter, as well as Tenesha Thomas, the founder of Onboard Solutions, a brand new segment, All Aboard, the nonprofit Power-Up series, and Vicki Morris with BYOB, Be Your Own Boss, sharing some great information with us as well. On next Sunday, it's our first What's Going On of the brand new month of May, May the 4th, already just pushing forward through this year. And it's May 4th on next Sunday. We'll have conversation and commentary by David Person and Dr. Keith Burton and perhaps one other person. We'll see what happens between now and then. But we look forward to having some great conversations about things that are going on in the world today that you're probably investing some conversation in. And we're just going to lend our own perspective in the process. And so we, of course, will be here next Sunday at 2 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. I look forward to talking to you then. In the meantime, we hope that you have a great rest of the week. Remember, as always, knowledge is better than riches. Have a great afternoon. We'll talk again soon. Good day.
Thank you for tuning in to Second Chance. We hope that the information that was shared has been a blessing to you and that your life will be enriched as a result of it. We'd love to hear from you. So please send your email comments to Kenneth Anderson at mxlife@aol.com. That's mxlife@aol.com. And check out our Facebook page, 2ND Chance. That's 2ND Chance. In the meantime, have a great week, and we'll talk to you again next week. Good day.